Thought I'd make another video showing off my vinyl collection. My name's Manny. All right, first stop is AC/DC, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, the Australian version, with this characters of the band on here. Of course, the late great Bon Scott here. Released in 1976 internationally, but it wouldn't be released in the United States till 1981 with a very, very different cover, but this is the Australian version. This is a reissue also, not an original, but I got this when I was about 13 years old, way back. All right, next up is The Doors, Alive She Cried, released in 1983. This is a big publicity campaign on MTV and all that, and it features a version of Gloria that is live, but it was recorded in a rehearsal right before a show, and the reason is because the producer Paul Rathchild wanted to capture some performances, so he tried to convince the band to record an entire show without an audience. Well, they got as far as one track, and it fell apart. Some of those recordings have been released as backstage and rehearsals or something like that, or dangerous on Bright Midnight on CD, their own label. It's now out of print. This album's been reissued under In Concert. This particular version is now out of print. All right, Uriah Heep, Talk to Yourself, 72? Great album, and of course, this is ancient now, but you're supposed to get it and be able to look at yourself. T-Rex-ity. This was released in 1985. It's a greatest hits package. It was released to capitalize on Power Station's hit of T-Rex's Bang a Gong Get It On. This is an excellent overview of his career. Never been issued on CD, and this particular album has been out of print, but it's okay. There's like 500 million T-Rex compilations out there. All right. Venom. Canadian Assault. There was an American Assault, French Assault. Anyway, these little EPs that Venom put out of live performances and 3 tracks of studio cuts that they released. This is also out of print, but they did reissue it a couple of years ago in a box set. I think it was called Assault. I have it, but I don't remember what exactly it's called. Saxon, Stronger Than the Law. One of the best albums that come out of the new wave of British heavy metal. And it's a great album and interesting. There's a song called Dallas 1 p.m. that deals with the Kennedy assassination. Just an overall great album for the band. Monkeys, Instant Replay. This is a pretty cool album, and what makes it interesting, it was released in 1968 as the show got canceled. And on here, there are only 3 Monkeys. Peter Tork decided to sit this out, and he quit the band. And then there were 3. Album didn't really have any substantial hits, but it's a cool album. All right, Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. This is my original copy I had since I was 13 years old. Great album. I have a story behind it, but I can't really repeat it on here. But got fond memories of this album. Excellent. They've changed the cover on the CD to just have the inside picture of them, but whatever. Okay, Black Sabbath, The Eternal Idol. I love this album. I know a lot of people prefer the Ray Gillen version that Tony Iommi released a few years ago that was available on the bootleg market on the deluxe CD edition, but I prefer Tony Martin's version of the recordings, maybe because I'm used to it. But excellent album, and definitely worthy of having the name Black Sabbath attached to it. Judas Priest, very first album, Rock-A-Rolla, released in 1974. The band hadn't completely found their sound yet, or their image, as you can tell by the pictures on the back here. Rob Halford was going by Robert Halford, or on here, Bob Halford. Drummer John Hitch just died, I believe, about a year or so ago. Original drummer. Anyway, I actually like this album quite a bit. Next up, Twisted Sister. This is my original copy from Secret Label that's been, they went under shortly after this was released. I actually like this album quite a bit. It's very raw. The budget for this thing must have been non-existent, but Very cool album nonetheless. And this is their debut full-length release, I should say. Coven, uh, one of the first bands to explore witchcraft and Satanism and all that stuff. They weren't particularly a heavy band. There's still a version of this band hanging around with vocalist Jinx, who, there she is, faceless, along with the rest of them. This album's pretty good, though. Raven, another new wave of British heavy metal band, wiped out their second album. Raw as can be. Production values are non existent, basically, but at the time, this is probably the fastest metal you can get. And it's a pretty good album, actually. Still enjoy it. Flame. These guys are completely unknown. And the reason I bought this album is because this guy, Jimmy Crispo. Jimmy Crispo was in Aerosmith. He's on Rockin' a Hard Place and on the Classics Live album. Excellent guitar player. The band overall, not bad. Marge Raymond, is that her name? Anyway, she's a pretty good vocalist. She was compared to Janis Joplin, but I honestly don't think those two women had anything in common vocally. Slade, Stomp Your Hands, Clap Your Feet is what this one's called. Everywhere else is called Old Borrowed and Blue. Quiet Riot would later not only they would use that album title for a song on their own on Condition Critical. Anyway, great song, or great album, and this is pretty big deal overseas and everywhere else in the world except here. And Every Day is a ballad that shows a different side to the Glamsters. Alice Cooper, Zipper Catches Skin, recorded during this blackout period. Out of the 3 albums he did during, or 4 albums, yeah, it was 4 albums he did during this period. It's my least favorite, but I really enjoy it. As you can see there, Mr. Cooper, little change of image, cut his hair, no makeup. Again, this is during his new wave / meets hard rock phase. The Ramones, Too Tough to Die. Love this album, love this band. Got to see them live once, and only once. I was about 18 or 19. But anyway, great album. And I just love this album. Even the cover alone, I like. I just think it's cool. And here's Twisted Sister's actual debut. It's an EP, released in secret. It was kind of a release to whet their appetite of the fans. And on here is their original version of Leader of the Pack, which they would later re-record to come out and play. And I think they should have not bothered re-recording it. Lee Aaron, Canadian metal queen. Call of the Wild. This latter album, it's actually pretty good. She probably wouldn't be considered heavy metal nowadays. She's more of a Pat Benatar type vocalist, singer-songwriter, but I enjoy her work anyway. It's good stuff. Precious Metal. They look more like a Bangles than a heavy metal act, but again, this is during the pop metal / hair metal phase. And this shows how heavy metal was not so dangerous anymore in some ways. I mean, the image alone, these girls don't look threatening. Certainly weren't the Runaways. Overall, though, it's not a bad album. Y&T, when they were known as Yesterday and Today, and there's Dave McKetty's signature right there when I met him. I like this album. Didn't have much of impact at the time of release, which is too bad because it's actually a damn good album. I don't perform any of these songs anymore, unfortunately. And sadly, only one still left alive from this original lineup is Dave Meniketti. Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes. This is pre-famed Ted Nugent. He has taken the Amboy Dukes so far that their name is even small writing. This is not a reissue. This is how it came out when it was released. It's a pretty good live album. Sort of hints of where he was going as a solo artist would, but not completely. it's still got a lot of psychedelic influence, a lot of 60s influence, and hasn't gone to the heavy metal hard rock that you would find so much success in the 70s. Jimmy Page, soundtrack to Death Wish 2. This is the first thing Jimmy Page did after the Led Zeppelin disbanded and John Bonham died. Actually, I think it's a very interesting album. I actually like it. It features Chris Farley on vocals, who would all again work with Jimmy Page on Jimmy Page's first and so far only solo album, Outrider. The Joe Perry Project. This is the band that he did after Aerosmith broke up. This is the last version of Joe Perry Project. I actually like this album a lot. Match Bell wrote a memoir, which I have. Um, Actually, it's not a bad album. They do a version of T-Rex's Bang a Gong here. And Women in Chains is probably the standout track on here. Um, Definitely a better album than Reputation suggests. Yngwie Malmsteen, Rising Force, second album. First one was, I'm sorry, not Rising Force, Marching Out. This was the album where he, mostly vocals. Jeff Scott Soto sings on it, but if you watch the video to I'll See the Light Tonight, it's Mark Bowles or Balls or whatever the hell his name is in the video, though he's not actually singing because Jeff Scott Soto split right as soon as this album was recorded. Blue Cheer, Venibus Eruptum, released in 1968, often cited as one of the first American heavy metal album. I'm not sure if I consider it that metallic, but it is definitely heavy for its day. It's definitely a damn good album. The best thing these guys ever did, in my opinion. Def Leppard, On Through the Night, their debut album, new wave of British heavy metal. A great album. Most of these tracks are no longer performed, but overall, great album. Iconic image, and Pete Willis and Steve Clark, gotta be the most underrated guitar lead duo in heavy metal hard rock history. This is just a single from Venom, Bursting Out. I would show the 45, but anyway, I'm a Venom fan. The Rolling Stones, Through the Past Darkly, released in 1969, dedicated to Brian Jones, who had passed away at the age of 27, a few months prior to the release of this album. And actually, it wasn't released 67, it was released in 69, sorry. Anyway, just a great overview album and unique design to the cover. And Black Oak, Arkansas, Southern Rock Guys, featuring one Jim Dandy, and of course on drums, Tommy Aldridge. This is a live recording, pretty raw. I'm pretty sure they did not go back in the studio and fix one single thing on it. Actually, you can tell because it's produced by Black Oak, Arkansas. I doubt these guys did 1 ounce of production on this thing. Let's see, just a couple more. Gamma. This is the post-Montrose band from Ronnie Montrose. I discovered that until years after the fact, but it's pretty damn good. Shaking Street. Ross the Boss's band right after The Dictators and right before Manowar. I actually like this, very punk, and Fab Shine, the lead vocalist, here she is. And it features my favorite song by these guys, I Want to Box You. Great tune. Okay, Susie and the Banshees is just a 12-inch single of Peekaboo. Love that. I love the 12-inch single of it. And finally, the Michael Schenker Group. This is the American version, American mix. Gary Baldwin on vocals again. I love this album. It's the first one I ever bought by them and him. And, well, I bought one with him with UFO when I was younger. Still one of my favorite albums, and it's a great album. Anyway, that is it for today. Thank you for your time.